Today is September 1st, 1995. The survivor is Albert Simon. We're in Los Angeles, California, in the United States of America. My name is Ellen Baskin, and the language will be English. I'd like to begin by asking you to tell me what your name is.
My name is Albert Simon.
And what was your name when you were born?
My name when I was born was Adolf Shivanovich.
Could you spell that, please?
Adolf is A-D-O-L-F, and Shivanovich is S-I-M-O-N-V-I-C.
And when were you born?
I was born July 16, 1924.
Where?
In a little town called Nizhnya Bystra.
Could you spell that?
It's N-I-Z-N-A-B-Y-S-T-R-A, Bystra.
And what country was that in?
This was in that time Czechoslovakia.
Did you have any nicknames when you were?
They used to call me Bumi.
Why?
For my Jewish name was Avrom.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't want to call me Avrom, they called me short Bumi, B-U-M-I.
Mm-hmm. And you were called that ever since you were a child?
They called me Bumi, they called me, here in America they called me Al. In Europe mostly everybody called me Bumi, unless it was officially, so they called me Adolf.
What were your parents' names?
My father's name was Mendel Shimanovich. My mother's name was Rosa Shimanovich. The maiden name is Janovich.
Mm-hmm. Can you spell that?
J-O-N-O-V-I-C.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes. I had an older brother, but he was born in 1918. And I have a sister here, she was the second one.
What was your older
brother? You want to know from the first...
Right. Tell me all of your brothers and sisters.
I got a sister, she's in Czechoslovakia. I don't know, I'm trying to get in touch with her, but this is not the material here.
What's her name?
Her name is Goldie. Actually, they call her, she is non-Czechoslovakia, she calls herself Zlata. Zlata is gold. And in Jewish, she was Goldie. She was the oldest. I don't remember who was the oldest, the brother. My brother, Dazhu, his name was Dudya in Jewish. I think he was the oldest, and she was the second one. And then was the third one is Alti. She was from the first father.
Your mother was married twice.
My mother was married twice. Her husband died very young. She remained with 3 small kids. But my father brought them up. Anyway, then she was a widow, but her father was a well-off man. In Bas and small towns, when you have lots of fields and he had money, he had sheep and he had herds, whatever, in forests. He was known in the area that he was a rich man. So my father's supposed to go to America. He had papers to go to America, and he heard from my mother that her father was looking for a fine boy who knows Jewish, who's intelligent, and he got married. So he gave the papers to my uncle, who went to Newark, wound up in Newark. He went to New York, but he wound up in Newark.
And what is your uncle's name, or was your uncle?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I never had I was kind of very disappointed in him, but I remember when I was a small boy, my father was writing every day a letter to him and saying him to help him to take over some children. But, we were quite a few children, and he saw it coming. He was reading all the papers. He spent more money on papers, from German papers. He spoke even English a little bit. My father spoke quite a few languages, but he was a very intelligent man. And he wanted to take out some more kids, but he says one child. So my sister was the older for me, so he sent her.
And her name is?
She's here. Her name is Jean.
And how many other brothers and sisters did you have that were born to your mother and father?
Well, my brother and Jean is 2, and I am 4, and Alti is 5. Her name. I had 2 sisters, Alti, but one of them from the first and one of them from the second. Alti is, after my sister, is 3. I am 4. Blima is 5, and then I had 2 brothers. Is 7.
What were your brothers' names?
Leiby, and not Joseph. His name Yosel. They called him Yosel or Joseph, and Leiby was the youngest. And from the older one, she had 3, so she had 10 kids. But she had also, before 2 kids didn't live, they died. So she had 12 kids altogether.
And what kind of a community did you live in growing up?
Well, we lived in a community where there were living 30 Jewish families.
In a community of how many people?
About 2,000 to 2,200.
Did you have much to do with the non-Jews?
Well, we had a little store, grocery store. We were selling like a little bar. Sunday they came down and they used to sell them by the glass whiskey. See, you had to make a living. Somehow or other, to support the family, you had to do it. There too, nobody gave you nothing. So I remember my mother used to sell them, used to fill up the glasses and sell them and get the money. And my father used to be busy in the store. But Sunday was a very busy day, for they came down from the mountains. You see, they used to live in the mountains. The Russian, the Ukrainer, they used to call them Ukrainces. But it's right now Ukraine. Where I was born is right now Ukraine. It was under the Russian. But now they're self-sufficient, they're Ukraine. And that's how we made a living till the Hungarians came in, and for a year or so they let us go on the same way, but then they started to confiscate, started to take away, closing stores, trying to watch closer, and they were working together with the Germans. Somehow or other in that part, they were taking away Jews to Poland, grabbing Jews to Poland from certain little towns. So you have to be very careful for that. You didn't know who and when is going.
Did that ever happen to anyone?
No, in our town they didn't do it. It was up mostly to the police. But the police in our town, some or other, were friendly. There was only a couple, maybe 4 or 5 police, and they were kind of friendly with the Jews. The Jews, they used to come in, used to treat them nice, and they kind of were friendly, so they didn't try to display any anti-Semitism. So that nobody from our town was taken away. But otherwise, from other towns was always taken away 4 or 5 families, and they sent away to Poland. They never came back.
And how did you hear about that?
Well, it's a small little place. The Carpathian Mountains maybe lived, I would say, all together with a big city, but it was Munkac. And the city where I used to go about 30 kilometers from Maas was called Khust. Then was on the other side a little big town called Volove. I would say all around, that was maybe 50,000 Jews. And the whole Carpathian Mountain is 50, 60, 70,000. I don't know exactly.
And
Everybody had lots of kids, that's why I'm saying.
so your family was Orthodox?
Very Orthodox. Everybody was Orthodox. You see, everybody was God-fearing. The women were wearing handkerchiefs on their, cut off their hair, and I mean, that's how we used. We came from an environment, and that was going on for ages and ages, So nobody changed it.
How long had your family lived in that region? Do you know?
Well, as far as I can remember, my grandfather lived there. His father lived there, but I don't know how far it was back going. I know it was quite a few years. I would say maybe 150 years back. That part was Jews already.
And when you used to think about growing up and coming into adulthood, what did you want to do?
I never want to stay there. When I was a young boy, 11, 12 years old, I already was thinking, I hated it there.
Why?
I just didn't like it. I don't know, by nature, a restless person. And there was nothing to do. When I was going to school till I was 13, to Czech school and to Cheder and I didn't, for some reason or other, it never appealed to me, the ultra-Orthodox religion. I was never very religious. I was just semi-religious. What I had to be for my parents, you bring up kids, you tell them that's what you have to be, But my father was somehow or other, I got along. I looked up to my father looked up to me, we were very close. And I don't know, that's the only reason why he let me cut off the hair, when I was, the minute I finished Cheder, I cut off the payas and everything. I was growing hair like I have now, But you can see pictures. I was only 14 years old there, I was going to the city, and my sister was learning how to sew. You can see these pictures there, right? Did my wife show you the pictures there with the girls?
We'll see that picture after we
Right.
talk.
Anyway, I didn't like, for one reason, to live there. I was not interested in the girls from the same town, for they misbehaved.
They didn't?
They misbehaved. I say they did misbehave.
In what way?
In certain ways, they were, you see, they looked down on the boys from the town, But, I was smaller. The girls were older than me. So, the girls from my age, they were I didn't want to associate with them. The girls who were older a year or two, they didn't want to associate with me, so I was in between. So we used to go like 15 kilometers away and meet Saturday with other girls from other towns, And this is when I was already 13, 14 years old. But I just didn't like it. I looked for a way to go away from home.
And did you?
I did. You know what? My father made me go away. But you see, they used to take boys of my age, take them away to work every day.
Who took them?
Hungarians. Used to take them all kind of work, to do all kind of dirty work. Cleaning and digging and fixing the streets. For nothing. You're a Jew. So, my father says, I don't want you to be here.
When was this?
That was in 1941. So I took the train after the high holidays. He took me to the train. And he says in Jewish, "Go, mein Kind." He kissed me and I left. And ever since then went home. He never let me go home.
Did you ever see?
I want to go home for Pesach, for Easter. And he said, no, he's afraid that if I come home, they may send me away somewhere, for I was older already, And you see, they didn't like that somebody escaped. They didn't know where I am. They were asking him, where is your son, for I was, you see, this age of boys, they took them to work, they utilize them for their purposes. So that's the reason. But what I used to do, when I was away from home.
Where did you go?
I went to Budapest, a big city, and I didn't speak the language either.
Did you know anybody there?
My cousin was there, Harry.
What was Harry's last name?
Joseph. Harry is, according to me, my father and his mother were sisters and brothers. And he was there, and we were very close. We were living almost one near the other. We never ate a meal one without the other, never went out one without the other, went dancing together, in dancing schools. I was learning how to dance in Budapest.
Was his family in Budapest?
No. He did the same thing as me. And what you will ask me, what did I do? What did I do in Budapest? I was a young boy, right? I came there, I didn't speak the language. But the Jewish community, in a way, was very nice. I came down from the train, and I didn't know where to go. Now, for somebody I wasn't mature yet, 15, 16 years old, but I was more mature than the kids here. Whoever I ask where to go, they don't speak. Jews, that kind of beard, they don't speak. They don't speak Yiddish, they don't speak German, they don't speak Czech, they don't speak neither. I spoke a few languages, but I didn't speak Hungarian. I spoke a few words, but not enough. You see, Baz, they didn't speak Hungarian. In other towns, they did. You see, as further you went towards the Polish border, as less Hungarian they were speaking. Now, as more as you went towards the Romanian border, and towards Hust, towards this way they spoke very good Hungarian. But I never paid attention to it. I spoke Czech very good. I went to Czech school. And so I met some very nice, I met Jacob. His brother was involved in the Bircha, big shot in the Bircha. Now, he had a big job in the Bircha. Bircha is involved in the Israel underground. And Jacob was a very good friend of mine, and we were related through my sister. I told you we were related, for he was a nephew to my brother-in-law. And we were very close friends.
What was his last name, Jacob?
What was his name? Baumgarten. Anyway, so you see, his brother, he didn't have to do nothing. He was living with his brother. But I had to do. So now what did I do? I met another couple guys, Jewish fellows, and they were working. One of them was working in a bakery, and the other one was working in a soda factory. And they both had, in Budapest, they didn't have cars distributing the stuff. They had wagons with horses, So what we used to do, everything was on carts in Budapest, as it was by us. For the whole country was on carts. Sugar, bread. But sugar was a big article. So by us, the population, they never used sugar. They didn't know what sugar is. So my father used to, having the store, used to know all these people. He used to buy these sugar tickets for nothing. He used to send it to me in a package with cakes. My mother used to send me a package once every week, every 2 weeks with cake, with all kind of things, you know. So, and I got these tickets, and I had old women, and they used to sell the tickets, and we used to split up the profits. I lived very good. I didn't take no chances. I was quiet, I was nice, and Harry, my cousin, was working in a big wholesale grocery place. He was there like a manager, and I used to give him the tickets too. He used to get out somebody who didn't want the tickets, he wanted sugar immediately, he got the sugar.
So these were rationing coupons.
Yeah, rationing coupons. So from I came there end of 1941 in the fall. In 1942 and 43, I had it very good. I had lots of money. I didn't have to do nothing. I was nicely dressed. I sent home money. So that's how you survive. I didn't work.
Were you ever in fear for your safety?
No, I never put myself in places where I should be. I never went to places where I should be in danger. I always stayed out from places. And we went to a dancing school. There was no fear for. There was all kind of people. There were Jewish people. See, this wasn't the time where. But when I was on papers, there was also lots of Jewish people on papers. So we went dancing, and we met Jewish girls too.
What do you mean when you were on papers?
When I had Christian papers.
When did you get Christian papers?
Oh, I got Christian papers in about 1943, I don't remember, around mid-year.
How did you get them?
Through my cousin, through my Jacob's brother. You see, he was in the Bricha, he got anything.
Why did you feel the need for papers?
I didn't want to wear no yellow band, and I didn't want to wear no star. In that time, they started to wear stars and yellow bands. And I didn't want to wear neither of them. You had to wear a yellow band or a star. So
why didn't you want to wear them?
I didn't want to be a Jew. So I moved out from a neighborhood, from a Jewish neighborhood, and I moved in to a Christian neighborhood.
By yourself?
No, I went with my Harry, with my cousin, and Jacob.
So the three of you were doing the same thing?
Yeah, no. We were working together, but I usually was involved with another boy. Like I told you, one was distributing soda. He went on also Christian papers. He was working the same thing.
Do you remember the name that you had, the Christian name?
It was Michael or something, Miguel Walowski. I don't remember already what it was. I just had a birth certificate. That's all you had to have, is a birth certificate.
Why did you decide, other than not wanting to wear the star or the band, that you wanted?
I didn't want to go for, otherwise I had to go to the camps, they took boys my age, had to report to working camps. And they took them away to Poland, to Russia, to all over, and the Germans, the SS, took them over for work. I didn't want to go.
Did you have any sense at that time of what was happening to the Jews?
Oh, I know everything. But I was involved with the Bricha. I went every Saturday underground, and there was the Bricha, and we had our Shomer Shabbat and everything. We knew everything. I even know the day when they cremated my parents.
What day was that?
That was in May 1944.
How did you know?
For the Bricha, I knew exactly which transport went when. You see, my Jacob's brother, his name was the same name as my father, Mendel. He went, he liked my sister, my younger sister. She was a very good-looking girl,
What was her name?
Blima. And he tried to get her out so badly. He went to Hust, where she was in the ghetto, and he risked his life as a Hungarian big officer. And he couldn't get in, for the Germans were questioning him, why would you want to take out a Jewish girl? He said, well, I knew her since she was a kid, and he made up stories, but it didn't work.
So your family was transported. You found out in May of '44.
Yes, they came to Auschwitz, and actually I know in the Jewish calendar, 12 days in Nisan, they were cremated.
Did you ever have the opportunity to see them again after you left in '41?
No. My father wouldn't let me go home. My mother wanted me to come home, but my father wouldn't. I never saw him since then.
How did the people in the Brigade get that information? Do you know?
From the Brigade, they had their ways, means. The Brigade knew everything. They were. Do you know how many thousands of people they took out from all over, to Romania? They sent to Bucharest. Bucharest, the Jews were free. The king didn't take away the Germans. Couldn't touch a Jew in Bucharest.
So you had heard about what was happening.
I could have gone to Bucharest. I didn't want to go.
You wanted to stay in Budapest.
I didn't want to take a chance.
Did you feel safe traveling with the Christian papers?
I felt very safe. You see, nobody ever would tell me that I looked Jewish. For I had the hair I had up to here, blonde hair. I looked like a German, if a German looks like. Not all the Germans looked like me.
But you never felt like you were in any danger?
No, I never was afraid. I never tried to take too big chances, but if I went on a streetcar or somewhere, I was not afraid.
Did you mingle with people who weren't Jewish?
Oh, yeah. I mingled with Jewish people. I knew who have papers too. Lots of people have papers. My wife has here cousins. They all were living through their own papers. She has two cousins here. They both worked in a hospital. And we all try somehow or other, we lived through, and we try to not to show ourselves we are big shots, You didn't try to display yourself too much. But you went places where you knew it's safe. Let's say I went in the summertime. I used to go there was called the Donau. There was a place where they used to have mineral waters in one place. I used to go there Sunday. Used to go there, 3, 4 boys, but we knew each other, very well. We used to spend there a couple hours, 3, 4 hours every Sunday. We went to movies, we went to theaters. Nobody bothered you. I was sitting near Nazis.
Okay, we're going to change tapes now. You said that you would sometimes be sitting near Nazis in the movie theaters.
Yeah, newsreels.
What was that like for you? How did you feel about being that
like
close?
hell. I saw everything what happened. When I went once to see the movie Youth Jews. It was a movie, came out, they showed everything, how they killed the Jews.
In the movie theater?
Yes. They showed it in Budapest. I went to see it. I want to see it for myself. And there was newsreels. They showed everything. They showed the way they were taking away Jews from all over. Of course, nobody hid nothing. Whoever tells you that they didn't know are lying to you. Everybody knew.
How did you feel yourself when you would come into such close contact with...
You know what? I was stoned. I was, how you call it, you become like so hardened, you have no feelings no more, you lose feelings. So, I don't know, I had a Jewish girlfriend, let's put it this way, and she was working by a family where she was hiding out, and they were also Christian papers. And I used to go and see her once in a while. I used to have a nice, huh?
What was her name?
I don't remember. Her name was Bertha, but I don't remember her last name. And anyway, what I'm trying to bring out, having so much clothes and all kind of things, and how do I have these pictures? You see, you're asking me, how did you went to a concentration camp, and I didn't find nothing at home. I never went in the house even. I have pictures from home, you see. You see, I had these pictures with me. I had also film. You know what film is? And I was keeping a deer, for my father gave it to me. And I had nice clothes, so I took some of the clothes and put it in. But my girlfriend's, she was keeping it for me.
The pictures.
But she was living in a very, very good neighborhood where Christians were living. They were very rich people. Anyway, when I came back, this is before they caught me, I used to see her once in a while. She used to invite me to dinner, like Friday nights, they secretly, Friday, Sunday, I used to go there for dinner. And we used to go out to a movie once in a while. She had Christian papers like me, but she was working with them. There was no other, she had no other choice. So she was hiding out there, and she was keeping the stuff from me. She liked me. I don't know why, but she liked me. I didn't care for her too much, but anyway.
When did things start to get worse in Budapest?
In Budapest started to get worse in 44.
The end of 44?
No, by the middle of 44. When they started to do the Swedish guys started to do the apartments, Warnburg, and they used to take, you see, they made right away houses with stars, separate the Jews, and they made a ghetto. And about March, April of 1944, they really stepped down. They really stepped down on the Jews, and they really want to put them together. So whoever was smart went in these houses, but not everybody could go in the houses, just.
Where were you during this time?
I was living on Christian papers. I told you, I since 1943 I was on Christian papers.
So you didn't go either?
I didn't want to go. I could have gone in this house, Levenberg, to live any time I wanted. I didn't feel. I want to be a free guy. You see, that's why I was caught.
When were you caught?
I was caught December the 28th, 1944, 3 days before the Russians came into Budapest. This was a Sunday, a day after they bombed the whole weekend. And I was in a big tenement, but it was a big cellar, and only Christians lived there, and I was hiding out there. I was in the cellar with them.
With the Christians?
Yeah. So I was there with Jacob, and my cousin Harry. And when we went out, I just felt I couldn't breathe. It's just you sit there for so long, so many people.
So you were hiding with all of these people because they were bombing the city?
Right. But we just lived half a block away from there. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, I have a movie camera. I took some pictures from that place, but it's destroyed completely. You see, the place where we lived is destroyed, bombed away. So I took for some houses nearby, I think I have it on the film.
This was years later, though.
No, I was in Budapest about 3 years ago.
Well, when you were there at the time and you felt like you couldn't breathe after the bombing.
After the bombing, that's where they caught me. I went in the park for a couple minutes just to take a little fresh air.
And what happened?
And a friend of mine who was with the Gestapo, who was involved with the Hungarian, the Nyilas party, he pointed a finger at me. For some reason or other, I'll never figure it out as long as I live. I saw the guy when he died in Gunskirchen. I was asking him, Velvel, his name was Velvel. I was asking him, why in the world did you point a finger at me? What did I ever do to you? I thought you were my best friend. But he couldn't talk back to me. He was already almost dead. He had typhus. He died there. He was there too. To the end, he was there too. See, somebody pointed a finger on him too.
So he was also a Jew with Christian papers?
Yes. There was lots of people. I wasn't the only one.
So who arrested you? Or who grabbed you?
The Nyilas, the Hungarian Gestapo. And they gave us over right away to the German SS. And you see, if Jacob's brother got killed 2 weeks before, he went with a transport from Hungary to Bucharest. If he would have been there, I would never have been in a concentration camp. I just had to make one call, and he would have been there right away. The biggest German officer you ever saw, and he would have taken me out.
Now he went on a transport
from Budapest to Bucharest.
To Bucharest, and he was killed.
And he was killed, not just him, he was killed in that time, maybe 100 other people were killed.
So when you were taken, what happened?
They took me they gave me over to the Gestapo, and on my terrible luck, there was one train staying, and that train still had a right-of-way to go out from Budapest. The last train. And who do you think was on that train? Cattle train. 3rd generation Jews. They only went to 3 generations. 3rd generation. They didn't go to the 4th generation. They didn't know they're Jews. Neither of them said. They didn't know. They didn't know why they are there. They were asking each other, why are we here?
What do you mean?
Why would Jesus Christ punish us?
What do you mean by 3rd generation Jews?
3rd generation Jews is like his father wasn't Jewish, his parents weren't Jewish, his grandparents weren't Jewish, his grandparents were Jewish. That's the 3rd generation.
So this was the last transport out of Budapest?
Yeah. Mostly this was completely Jews, and also political. Now, they put me in the political category. They couldn't prove that I'm Jewish, and they couldn't prove that I'm... So they put me under the label politically. That's why I couldn't get a number. So I was telling him, that's why I never had a number.
Because you were never identified as a Jew.
That's right. I was in the papers, I was never identified as a Jew. In the both camps, when I applied for Wiedergutmachung from Germany, they were questioning me that I am Jewish. They said, nobody ever mentioned that I was Jewish. I said, I am Jewish.
So where did the cattle car go to?
To Fertőrákos. Now you have to ask me, how did you survive 8-9 days without food and water?
How did you survive 8-9 days without food and water?
Okay. You see, that was a transport. 17,000 people were on this transport. Now you'll ask me, how do I know? I just heard them. You see, the Germans were talking about it. How many is going to survive? For they didn't give no food, no water, no nothing. For the 9th day they let us out. 117 people were alive. from the 17,000. At night, they were bombing, but they wouldn't bomb the railroad tracks. They were bombing all over, but not the railroad tracks.
How did you survive that?
We were coming on the way. Now, Fertőrákos from Budapest would be, I would say, maybe 300-400 kilometers, tops. So, what is Hungary? A small country. But you see, we went 20 miles and stopped. And when we came closer, by the fourth or the fifth day, we came in the territory where only Germans were living. You see, that was the part of Hungary where it was, at one time, there were Volksdeutsche. They used to call it Volksdeutsche. And we were staying, I picked a window, like a little window with little divisions. And we were always the three of us together. Now, who you say that we adopted another guy. His name was Bell. Now, he was from the same town as my cousin, Joseph, Harry Joseph.
So Harry was arrested also?
No, Harry was in Budapest. Harry didn't go in Prague.
So who were the other two people you were with?
No, Jacob was with me all the time.
Oh, Jacob was taken.
But the Bell was in the park, but we knew he was also Christian papers. So we were all, the three of us together. He was a tall guy, strong guy, and we were staying by this little window, and we saw at 3 o'clock in the morning, women were feeding the cattle already, 3:30 in the morning. I don't know exactly, it was dark, pitch dark. But the Nazis couldn't, this was a big train, they were going around it, and the dogs. And these women were going also, the barns were around the railroad tracks. And they were listening to people moaning, people were dying, moaning, hungry, they were dying from hunger and thirst. And I saw a German woman, and I was saying to her in German, der ganze Wagen ist gestorben.
What does that mean?
The whole wagon is dead. We are only 3 people alive. Please, bitte, they should give us something to eat. Water or something, water. I could hardly talk already, After all, after 4 or 5 days, we had no food. And a half an hour later, one of them came back. She took over. Was dressed in black, and she brought us food, sliced bread, just to go through this. She sized up these windows. Sliced bread, packed in little towels, and she had she had a little container that was thin with water, like a canteen they used to call it. And we had nobody to fight us anymore. Everybody was dead. And we were 3 people remained in this whole kettle. Let me tell you how tight it was. You only could get up, stand up, and sit down. That's how many people they put in one kettle tray.
What had happened to all the dead bodies? Were they there?
Do you know what? I don't know, and I didn't care. I only looked out for myself. We looked out for each other, for the 3 of us. The only thing was that the whole thing was, the lies were carrying us away with the wagon. You see, when a human being stays in a place like this, there was no air. There was hardly any air. How much air can come through these little things? We were shut tight. And anyway, they took us out. When they opened up the doors, when we came to Fertőrákos, they said, "Raus!" So raus, we 3 went out. They threw us in a water in a lake, undressed everything, every little piece of clothes we had. I felt like $1 million. The lives almost ate me up. They were like this. Anyway, and they threw us striped clothes and 2 wooden shoes. And we marched in 117 people, mostly like me, a little bit older, let's say up to 30 years maybe. And they took us into to Fertiraquash. They put us in barns, and by surprise they gave us a little piece of bread with a little soup. I was thinking for a minute they would make us bury all these bodies, but they didn't. We find out later that there was a special command. There was a concentration camp nearby, and these people, we were not the first train coming there. But all the trains going to Mauthausen were going through there. We were just the last train, and these people buried all the dead.
So how long did you stay there?
Just enough to go in the lake and wash myself down, and they put us on clothes, and we were marching away, that's it.
And how long did you march for?
We were marching from the train station to the town, maybe a couple hours. And then when we came there, they gave us a little soup, and they gave us a little piece of bread. But they didn't give us a blanket. So they put us in a barn, so we moved in the hay. And next morning they took us to work to build for the military, the heavy work to build the Schützengraben, they used to call it, like bunkers. And we were there, but let's say this was in January, in the beginning of January. We were there maybe 4 weeks, building, working every day, 7 days a week. And picking up this heavy, we were cutting the wood, we were cutting the trees, cutting them around, and digging and building them inside. And they had engineers. We were doing the work, but they were telling us what to do. So, but they had more people. When we came there, the 117 people, there was quite a few people in this town. And also, the Hungarian soldiers still had people who were watching, I remember when I told you they were working in the labor camps.
When they took the people from the
villages. They were still under the Hungarian. They had it very good. They gave them food, they gave them clothes, they had it very good. They were also working with us together. Now there, we got a little food from the labor camp people. But we had to be very careful. If they caught somebody, when they saw, there was all young SS men. If they saw somebody, they just give them a bullet in the head. That's it. So it was a piece of bread or a bullet in the head.
Did you ever get disciplined for anything?
No, I watched myself. The only thing is, I was a heavy smoker, and I remember for a little piece of cigarette, I'll give anything.
Did you ever get any cigarettes?
Well, these people had cigarettes, so they used to give me the corners, the leftovers. So we were there about a month, and suddenly one night we come home, and we used to work like from early in the mornings till late at night till it gets dark. And we came back. They took us over to to places where there's steam. The clothes, we had lice already, But we didn't have nothing, just this little thing. So they put us in a steam, so they killed the lice, the eggs and the lice and everything. So next morning they marched. they emptied out the whole town. Whoever didn't go or wasn't capable to go, they gave them a bullet in the head and goodbye, and they left.
And how long did you march for?
Oh, we marched. This was a big march. This was to Mauthausen. We left end of January, and we arrived to, I would say, by the 25th of February.
So about 3 weeks.
Yes. We marched, and they wouldn't let us go on the street, only in the hills. You see, on the street, there were lots of Volksdeutschen.
And
They call them the Germans, the Volksdeutschen means they were running away from the Russians. They know the Russians will kill them. So the Russians were already close by. See, when I was in Mauthausen, I saw the plane coming down so low. I saw the Americans sitting in the plane, and then at night they bombed the barracks. They killed lots of people in the planes, bombing. But there was lots of dead people stacked up to the sky in Mauthausen. But I'm running ahead of myself. Anyway, we were marching. On the march, they didn't give us absolutely nothing. We were living on grass. It was winter, cold, ice and grass. I was moving away under a tree, finding grass, and had a little ice. But once a week they gave us a little piece of bread. I remember one time they concentrated a tremendous amount of people in a place, and I thought I didn't want to go in that place, but I had no choice. It was like we were on a straight level, and suddenly we fall down like 6 feet. It looked like a burying, like a grave. I thought they were going to do something to us. They put in maybe 2,000, 3,000 people in that place. So I thought this is it. But no, they gave us food there, and they told us we should rest till the morning, and early in the morning, 5 o'clock, they started to march again. So at least we took their word for it, we had no choice. And they kept their word. 5 o'clock in the morning, they started to march again. So till we came to Mauthausen.
Did many people die on the march?
Oh, yeah. We must have run away from Mauthausen in the thousands. It was a line, I would say. They had maybe 200 Nazis, SS, watching us. So imagine how many people there was. And when we came to Mauthausen, it was a handful.
But you and your two friends?
We were together. One of my friends, Bell, died, I'll tell you later. No, on that, he made it. On this march, he made it. So, anyway, when we came to Mauthausen, they put us in the barracks. And the first time, I didn't know what a capo is. I didn't know what a concentration. I didn't know, So we went in this barracks, like, they put in people and they had something crawling in, one bed of the other. And they put us away there to sleep. And they gave us a little soup in the evening. In the morning they went and say, that was a Jewish guy, a capo they used to call him. I never knew capos, I didn't know what a capo is. He used to have a big stick in the hand. He used to say, you are going to bury this stack of people. You're going to load them up from here on the wagons and go with the wagons to the mass graves and unload them and come back. And you're going to do it the whole day long. You're going to get 2 soups a day.
He said this to you?
Yeah, not to me only. He picked other people. I had no choice. I couldn't say no. If not, they hit me over the head. I got the head over the head. And so I did that for about 2 weeks or so. But then I tried to shahad from it. I couldn't take it for
Oh.
Lots of people slipped in. It was raining, you know. And once you slipped in these mass graves, you remained there with the dead.
What exactly was it that you were doing?
I'll load up these people. You see, you are going to ask me, how did these people come there? In the last minute, you see, there was Hungarian people from Miskolc. There was a city, Miskolc, Debrecen. That was the part of the south part of Hungary, but closer to the Romanian border. Now, these Jews, they let stay there till 1944. They were wearing stars, they were wearing everything, and they were living in certain housings, but they didn't take them nowhere. They kept them like in a ghetto, but they decided suddenly to take them away end of 1944. And they took them to Mauthausen. But you see, they gassed them, whole families, grandfathers, grandmothers, mothers with children. And in December 1944, they decided they eliminate them.
So those were the people you were burying?
There were the people, they were burying them constantly. I finished the burying, you know. It was stacks like houses. And they were all naked. They take away everything. Naked bodies, you know, old, young, naked bodies, you know. Just put them on the oxen, you know. Oxen is like bulls with wagons with the big wheels, you know. We used to put up like 20, 30 bodies on a wagon and go with the wagon. And the Germans were looking at us.
So you would put the bodies on the wagons and
That's
take them?
right. And go with the wagon and unload them.
Unload them where?
Unload them in the mass graves. Now, two people took one body and threw them in. But it was so slippery that if you slipped, you went with the body.
How many bodies were in each mass grave, about?
Oh, they were so big. And there was people who were just digging these graves. And they had ways to go out, you know. They made like a way to go out. But you see, it was so deep, they must have buried in these mass graves, I will not exaggerate, but they took away from that. This was the most populated Jewish neighborhood in Hungary. For they were very religious Jews and had lots of kids and everything. And the thousands.
And how long did you do that work?
I did it I came there in end of February, and I did it till about mid-March. About 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. You know, you couldn't last longer, you know. Nobody could, but you see, it was very hard work. And that person is a dead person, you know. I mean, the food they gave us, we couldn't last too long. So they constantly shipped out people, so they took some of these people who already were there and put new people in to mass grave them.
Okay.
They always came in people from somewhere else. You see, they used to take out old people and send them away.
Old people who had worked there for a while?
Yeah, like let's say I was there 2-3 weeks in Mauthausen. I was there till mid, I would say, almost end of March.
Okay, we're going to change takes now. So when was it that you left Mauthausen?
To the date, I don't remember. It was end of March.
And how did you leave?
Walking. There was no other way, just walking. I had the wooden shoes. The wooden shoes were still in one piece, but I manufactured already some rope I wrapped around my legs. It was winter, still cold. You know, March is still cold. I had already some racks I wrapped around my legs.
Sit back, please.
Oh, like this?
Yeah.
I wrapped around my legs for
warmth.
For it was kind of, we were going in the mountains. They wouldn't let us go to the street.
Right.
For one reason or another, they just wouldn't let us go to the street. The street was occupied with soldiers. in this Volksdeutschen, they were going with cars, with wagons, with horses, and with cows, and with everything they had. So they kept us in the mountains, going in the mountains. Anyway, when we went, I remember one incident. We came to a little place where we were resting, and Bell, the third one of my friends, his feet were frozen so badly that he said he doesn't go no more. For we were carrying him already to this place almost, the two of us. And he says he's not going any further. Or they're going to put him on a wagon. They did put some people on a wagon. And they were trying to follow the transport. But there was no way in the hills you could have a wagon. We were going a little, but a day or so we were going with side streets. And they had some people carrying a wagon. Some of the people were pulling a wagon, and in that wagon was the people who couldn't walk, frozen legs, things like that. So Bell was figuring he will wind up on this wagon, for he couldn't walk. But they said, no more wagons, we're going in the hills, and whoever remains here, remains here. They didn't tell him they're going to kill him or something. So we started moving, and I was lucky, I didn't froze nothing. I kept these racks around the legs and the wooden shoes. When we went maybe 500 yards, I would say, we heard shots. There they went, all of them.
So they shot him.
They shot them all. We find out later that, matter of fact, it was known as a fact that they killed lots of people who were sick. They took them to the place where there was a concentration of sick people, like a hospital, a field hospital they call it. And there was people who were frozen the hand, frozen the feet, and they just eliminated them. They didn't want to bother with them anymore. That's enough.
So how long were you marching this time?
Now, this time I was marching, this was already in April. I'm talking, this is already April. For end of March, a day didn't mean nothing, for we were going. And we were marching till about, I would say, another 2 weeks or so, till we came to this same place, Gunskirchen.
Can you spell that?
Gunskirchen. Gunskirchen is Gunt. Gunskirchen. Give me a pencil.
Well, we'll figure it.
It's Gunskirchen.
K-I-R-C-H.
Yeah, you will find it. You will find it in anywhere. You will find lots of people who were there.
Okay.
Anyway, they registered everybody who was going in the transport and who was there. And when we came there, they registered us. I'm registered in Mauthausen too. They find me in both places. Under Adolf Simonovich. Why do they find me under Adolf Simonovich? For I didn't want to be a political, and I threw away the papers.
Why?
When I came to the train, when they asked me after I was on the train, when I went down from the train, they asked my name, but they didn't know. I told them my name is Adolf Simonovich. But for some reason or other, they said, you are not Jewish.
Even after you told them your real name?
Well, Adolf Simonovich is not a Jewish name anyway.
So when you got to Gunskirchen...
Okay, now when we went to Gunskirchen, they put us in barracks. But you could only sit down and get up. And they had a little way, maybe a foot just to pass by. Between feet, sitting down, a foot, I would say 15 inches. So you don't fall down on one side and the other side. Just enough to pass by. Just enough to put you one foot before the other. And there no food, nothing. They absolutely. I came there, and there was the story: whoever comes there never goes out. Now, what is the worstest thing in that place? What happened is every morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning, they used to take everybody out from the barracks, and who couldn't get out, they shoot them right there to eliminate the place. Or at night you woke up and you felt you were kind of fall down, somebody died.
Did you see them shooting these people in the morning?
I was shot too here. A bullet passed by here. They were shooting with machine guns right between the people. Whoever stepped out and wanted to go, you see, why were they shooting at them? They knew my name is there. I had to say my name. The only thing is, why were they doing that? People didn't want to go. I said simply, no. 9. I don't care if they shoot me. For I knew whoever went in this was the place what they were preparing to eliminate 3-4 different camps. In this camp, what I was in Gunskirchen, there was maybe 20,000 people. Plus there was around in the whole neighborhood, Ebensee, and there was maybe 5-6 different big camps, and all of them were 20,000-30,000 people. They want to eliminate over 100,000 people in this, onto this hill. They were. You heard every 10 minutes going off like a big shot. It was like an earthquake.
And what was that?
The dynamite are stones. It's a stone onto a hill. You see what they did? They tried to make a big place to go in, and then just put on dynamite, and boom, the whole thing buried the people under this. Get rid of them without burning, without anything. And you needed people to do that. So they took people from all these camps. So nobody wanted to go. I was there the last 2 weeks, and it's just a matter of fighting every day to survive.
How did you manage to elude going?
I just didn't go. Now they shoot a few people, and they say, go back to the barracks. And you couldn't go out unless you had permission to go out to the toilet. But there was nothing to go in the toilet. They didn't give no food. People were eating cannibals, they were eating dead people.
You saw this happen?
Yes. I mean, it's not just I will tell you that. It's documented.
Mm-hmm.
This was the last step. This was worse at Treblinka, or you see, this was a camp where there is no way out.
What did you think at that point?
At that point, I was thinking, I knew the Americans are close by. And I say if they're not here in 3-4 days, I won't survive, that's all. I had already, matter of fact is, let's say, this was end of April. And we were counting the days, and some of us were guessing they will be here the 2nd, the 3rd, or the 4th of May. And they came the 5th. But you see, the 4th, I got already typhus. So Jacob took me into the hospital.
On the 4th?
On the 4th. He carried me in on the back, or I don't know how he did it. Somebody helped him or something. And when I woke up, I was in the hospital over a week already. I was unconscious. And the American officer, who at that time came out penicillin. I had typhus very badly. And I had high fever, and I don't remember nobody.
So you woke up and you had been liberated?
Yes. I woke up in the hospital. And Jacob was right near me, and the doctor from Brooklyn, a Jewish guy.
Do you remember his name?
I don't remember his name. I'm very bad at names. And matter of fact is I promised him when I will be in New York, I'll look him up. But I just couldn't remember his name.
How did it feel to know that you were free and that you had survived?
Well, you know, when you wake up from typhus, you are so weak that you don't even think. I didn't think that I'll survive it. None of us thought that we will survive it. I was talking many times to Jacob, to Jacob, I used to call him, I say Jacob, his name is Jacob. In Israel, you know, when I went to Israel, I was many times in Israel.
Is that where he settled?
Yes, he went to Israel right away after the war. He had a brother there. You know, he had another brother there. And he was very bitter about his brother got killed, his older brother. But he had a younger brother, so he settled there. And we were constantly talking. He says, we didn't believe that we will survive. But we knew the Americans must be close. We heard them shooting.
Now, after you were liberated and you recovered from the typhus.
Yes, I recovered from typhus. They sent me to, I was in the hospital for a week's time after that, till I walked around already, and they gave me food, and they tried to bring me back, you know. They gave me certain diet food, you know, so otherwise, you know, you can get very sick. They sent me to a sanatorium. The name of the sanatorium was Lansdowne or something. Metanel, I remember it was, and it was strictly American soldiers and Jewish kids like us. We were kids. And I went with Jacob there. They treated us like the Germans were afraid to look at us. So, but they tried to feed us, you know, bring us to our strain back. What do you think? I had typhus again. I got sick again. I got fever again. But this wasn't bad. I got fever, but I wasn't unconscious. And there was also a doctor. He wasn't Jewish, and he took care of me, gave me penicillin again.
Did you ever think of going back to where you had been? Back to your hometown?
No.
Or did you go back to Budapest?
I only went back to Budapest, and on my luck, going back from that place, from the sanatorium, going back to Budapest, we went through Vienna. You had to go through Vienna to Budapest. The trains went this way. I wound up being on a train, on a Russian train, and they took us right in a Russian camp. I say, God, didn't I have enough? I was talking to myself, so help me God. You know what? We were talking with Jacob many times. I said, didn't we have enough?
But you did get to Budapest.
Yes. Wait a minute. We were there. We wind up staying there a week's time in that Russian camp. They gave us hard bread, you know, the konik, as they call it, hard bread, and some bean soup. I was so weak I couldn't eat it. I got diarrhea from it and everything. I went there to a doctor. I told him, I cannot live here. He says, you get used to it. So what am I going to tell a doctor? I get used to it. He says, we have no other food. He gave me some pills against diarrhea. Okay. Anyway, I always went there. There was a command. I always went there. I say, look, I'm a Czechoslovakian. I'm from Prague. I want to go back to Prague. We are going through Prague and we'll take you home where you live. I say, when? The transport is going in 2 weeks. I say, I am not staying 2 weeks here.
So you left.
No, I couldn't leave. You couldn't get out from there. Now, suddenly, I got a hold. They had all kind of little flags, like Polish, Czechoslovakian flags. In that office, I stole a couple flags. I went in there, I took enough guts and stole of them. I say, if they catch me, the only thing I'm going to say, I love my country and I want to have a flag. So what could they do to me? They couldn't do nothing. So we, 3 boys, as I tell you the truth, we went out from that camp, and the Russian soldier was asking us, where are you going? I said, we are a delegation. We are going out. We came here in peace, and we are going in peace. I knew a little Russian, and Jakob knew more Russian than me. And that's all we told them. They let us out. And we were going like this about 200-300 yards till we went in a little forest. And we were running. I still couldn't stop. I said, this is the best thing we ever done. That was my idea.
So you did get to Prague ultimately?
No, didn't go to Prague. We went to Vienna. I was in Vienna a day or two. Right in the... we met some Jewish people there. They treated us very nicely. There was a lots of Jewish immigrants like I am from these camps who settled there already. And then we took the train and we went into Budapest. You see, I was looking for my sisters. I knew the young brothers didn't survive. But I knew the 2 older sisters must have survived.
Did they?
No. They got killed. I'm going to tell you, they got killed in a bombing 2-3 weeks before liberation.
They were in a different camp.
They were in an ammunition factory working. How did I know that? Girls who were living, from my town, cousins, other girls, they worked together. In one part where my sisters were together, they were separated. They were sleeping on one side, they were sleeping on the other side. I said, why didn't you sleep together? Well, that's the way they divided them, They had no part where to say where they're going to be. And they got killed there. So here I am alone again, and I knew I have a sister in America, but I didn't know the address. I went to the Jewish organization, and I tried to find out, and they publicized, and they find her. I knew she is in Newark, and they find her, and I got in touch with her. And then I went home. I didn't have no papers. I told you, I gave this girl all my papers. The only thing I find these people gave me back is pictures. This family. I say, what did she do with the clothes? I didn't have no clothes. I had only a jacket. You see me in the jacket and the white shirt, and a pair of shoes, and a pair of pants. I had one shirt. I had nothing. But being in Budapest so long, I knew places, These people right away were very generous. The guy gave me money. He says, she went with me in the store and she bought me anything I wanted.
And how long did you stay in Budapest?
I was in Budapest maybe 3 weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And then you were able to go to Czechoslovakia?
I went to Czechoslovakia, yeah. And I went to Prague first. And in Prague I was staying about a week. I went with a train, and I took with me cigarettes. And I got a hatijak, like they call it, a backpack. And I took with me cigarettes, and I went with my cousin Harry, and with a second cousin.
So Harry was still in Budapest?
Harry was in Budapest. Harry didn't go nowhere. The first guy I met is Harry.
What was it like to see him again?
Very good. We were very close. Harry wanted to give me money. I didn't want to take it. I'm that kind of guy. I don't want to owe nobody nothing.
And
so that family was very good to me. He knew this family will give me anything. but they liked me very much.
And you were able to establish yourself in Czechoslovakia?
Yes. We didn't stay in Prague. We stayed in Prague 1 week. And I went with Harry and another guy, a Polish guy. He's on the pictures there, the heavyset guy. And Jakob went to Israel. And Harry had 2 brothers in Budapest. And no, they came to Prague too. They were in Budapest and then they came to Prague. So, but they went back to Budapest. I don't know why. They have to pick up something. I don't know why they went back. And we went to this place, Ústí nad Labem, Aussig. This was in the Sudeten. Sudeten is a part where the Volksdeutschen lived. And they were pretty well off there, you know. There was the biggest industry in this town. There was 100,000 people living there or more. Beautiful town, movie theaters, everything you wanted. So I looked around and I said, I'll go up to the city hall. I'm going to meet the mayor. Be a big shot. So I went to the mayor and I met him and I gave him a carton of cigarettes. But he was very grateful. He says, I insist that you and Harry come and meet my family and have dinner with us. So we went. He had a beautiful daughter, and we got friendly. And I went out with her a few times. And this was before I met my wife. I went out with lots of girls. Anyway, my wife knows it. I went out with lots of girls. And I told them that I need something where to live, and I need a business. I want to settle here. He said, it makes me happier than anything. You go and look around what you want, and you come to me. And whatever you like, just give me the address, and it's yours.
And did you do that?
Yeah. I went to find a beautiful, it was like a duplex, one downstairs, one upstairs. But it was as big, like 3,000 to 4,000 square feet.
And how long did you stay there once you moved in?
Well, once I moved in, my cousins came over. Wait a minute, this wasn't the end. This is only the apartment. And then Harry decided, no, he has 3 brothers, we don't want to live here, he wants a house for himself. So I say, look, why don't I have the house and you have this apartment? Anyway, it was up to my wife, she made the decision. We went and we confiscated a villa up in the hill a little bit up, higher up. But there was no cars there, you had to walk. It was steeply walking, you know, you had to walk pretty good. So my wife, when I met my wife, I came there like in, this was in 44.
45?
45. I said 44.
When did you get married?
We got married in 46. No, wait a minute. I wasn't there too long. And when I came to Aussig, it was just maybe end of July or beginning of August. So August, I got everything, and we arranged ourselves. My cousins came, we opened up a business, and we had 2 beautiful apartments, and they had a girl from the same town, and she cooked for us. You know, we were bachelors, we were eating in the restaurants. And suddenly it was the high holidays, September. End of September, middle of September was that time too, about the 25th. And we went, there was nowhere to go, but we were invited to my wife's place where she lived.
And what was her name then?
Her name was Weiss. She had a brother, Ben Weiss, who died. And
And what was her first name, your wife?
Feige. Anyway, I came there, and that was Rosh Hashanah. I wasn't there in the evening, came there in the daytime.
So you
The
met
first
her
day.
Rosh
First day.
Hashanah and married her
I married her in January.
of
But
46.
we got engaged first. Anyway, so she was a beautiful girl. She still is.
And when did you leave Czechoslovakia?
We left Czechoslovakia in 1946, I think, end of May or around there sometimes. See, I want to go. I had all the papers ready to go to America in 46, beginning of 46. But they want me to go to the army, and I said, I don't want to go to the army anymore. And we went to Germany.
And how long were you in Germany?
In Germany, I was from 46 till 49, and then we came here.
Did you come straight to Los Angeles?
Yes, we came to New Orleans, and from New Orleans straight to Los Angeles.
And what kind of work have you done and did you do in Los Angeles?
Well, that's the hardest part of it. My wife was, she knew how to sew. And I didn't know nothing. I was a businessman basically, but I didn't know how to, you see, I didn't have no trade, no nothing. So for me it was harder than for her. So, and that time when I came, everybody was going to the needle trade. I decided to set down my machine. I was in Germany. They have machines, machines to knit, and I was, once in a while I went in and I monkeyed around with it. But this wasn't enough to go and say, I'm going to work. Anyway, to make the story short, I started to go in to be a presser, you know. I learned it fast. There's nothing to learn about it, but look, I had a hat, and I saw how it's done, and so I started all one day in one place, one day in the other place, and then if I didn't work at night, if I didn't work in the daytime, I went at nighttime in the fruit section where they were unloading the trucks. I worked there. I made my day's wages. I wasn't ashamed to do anything. I didn't say, I don't do this, I don't do this.
How many children did you and your wife have here in L.A.?
All the children.
Well,
we had 3 sons, and they were born right here.
And what are their names?
Their name, the oldest one is Milton, after my father. My middle one is Bruce Burech. After we didn't have a girl, so she named him after her mother, Blima. They call him Burech, you know, there is no, you cannot call him Blima. And my third one is Falek, is named after her grandfather. Well, he has 2 names actually. He's named after my brother too. The middle one is Burech Eric, after my brother who got killed.
Okay, we're going to change to one more tape so you can finish, and then we'll meet some of this family. Tell me the business that you were in,
Well,
that you were
I
most
was
successful
in when I
in.
came to America.
What did you find your success in finally?
Finally, I went in 51. I went in a business called Canvas. They put it in a men's clothes. This is made with horse hair, and it goes in the men's jacket. At that time, they used to use it very heavily. You know, everybody wanted a nice jacket with a nice breast, with a nice lapel. You know, today, sloppy everything. And I was the salesman, and I was the presser, and I was the cutter, and so is Harry, the same thing. My cousin, we were together. He was first in New York. But we both struggled. So he went in a place where they made these things, and he learned it. And when he came here, I had a friend here who was a cutter. He showed us how to make the patterns, how to make everything.
So you went into
and he brought with him some samples, you know, So we copied it, and we went in the business, and I went in and tried to sell it.
Is Harry?
But
Go on. I was going to say, is Harry still alive?
no, Harry died in '74.
And you were in business until then?
I was in business till '75. I sold my business. I was not in the same business.
But you stayed in business with Harry.
I was staying in business with Harry till '74. And then Harry died. I was staying in business till '75 or '76, I think I sold the business. But I already was in the building business too. I had a partner and I was building. Anyway, let me see. So
are you retired now? Or are you still working?
no, I was building.
Building.
I'm not retired. You see, if the situation would be better in the building business, I would be building. I'm not an old man. Look, 70, 71 is not old.
Well, looking back on everything that you experienced and thinking of people who will be seeing this tape in the future, and now that you have told us all that you went through, what message would you want to give to people who would be watching and hearing about what you went through in the past? What message would you want to give for the future?
What message from where? From the past? Or from their life in America?
From your life.
From my life. From my life, don't ever give up. Try always to do the best and be honest and sincere. Don't ever lie to nobody. That's what I taught to my kids. Be always truthful and honest. And that's all I can leave. That's my, what do you call it, they have a name for it. That's what I can say to everybody, and that's what I say to myself.
Okay.
You see, when somebody tries to outfox me, outdo me, I am not the guy to do it, but I should write back.
Okay.
You see, I never in my life tried to take advantage of nobody, but I never didn't let nobody take advantage of me.
Okay, and now we're going to meet some of your family members, and you have
Very
photographs you want to show us as well. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.